Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, welcome to North America's Building Trade Union's 2023 Legislative Conference. I'm ecstatic to be up here, and as always I say I'm happy to be among family. Last year, when we convened for the first time since the pandemic, and during one of the most tumultuous times in our history, I stood here before you thanking you for all the amazing wins you helped deliver for the working people in America. I must say that while I am in awe of these wins, with all of your hard work with the Biden-Harris administration, and with the bipartisan congressional support of our issues, I'm also not surprised by them. Brothers and sisters, we know we have the best model to rebuild America's middle class. We have the gold standard training to deploy the most highly skilled workforce to rebuild America's crumbling infrastructure. And we have the most labor-friendly president in American history. Who adamantly supports our model, our workforce, and is prioritizing both of them in his blue-collar blueprint for America. This isn't just important for us. Until this administration, every so many years, you'd have a patchwork of infrastructure reauthorizations that were good, but not groundbreaking, and not nearly enough to meet the urgent need to fix our infrastructure that had gradually broken down over generations. Now, for some, maybe a C- average is good enough, but the American people deserve more. And finally, with your efforts, day in and day out, we have gotten to a place where workers and infrastructure are not only a priority, they are the priority. President Biden was emphatic in his State of the Union speech. He said, and I quote, "We're investing in our future to make America strong, and we are building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, and not from the top down," unquote. To anyone paying attention to the legislative agenda of the Biden administration, this has been abundantly clear. And for the naysayers out there, let me just say, there's nothing weak about understanding that our national security is at risk when our infrastructure is crumbling across the nation. There's nothing old about prioritizing domestic investment in our roads, bridges, ports, transit system, airport, rail, clean water, broadband, and energy infrastructure. And there's nothing woke about sincerely valuing workers and empowering the American people with life-changing opportunities for good, dignified, family-sustaining careers. Brothers and sisters, by building the infrastructure generation of tomorrow, the Biden-Harris legacy will not just be for construction. No, this administration legacy will be for helping all Americans. They want to build the middle class in the United States. They want that to be the cornerstone of their legacy. This would not be possible without you. As I said last year, and I want you to listen and remember, and never forget, you delivered the critical votes that decided who would run this country in the White House and in our nation's Congress. The landmark achievements, go ahead, give yourselves a hand on that one. The landmark achievements of this administration over the 2 years that they're building the legacy is because of you. You have delivered game-changing victories for building trades members across the nation. You went to the mat against IRAPs, and the Biden-Harris administration repealed the disastrous IRAP federal regulation and safeguarded registered apprenticeship. You helped pass the American Rescue Plan and kept working families afloat. And included in that package, this administration made sure that we secured the pensions of millions of building trades members for the next 50-plus years. Then Biden signed the long-sought-after bipartisan infrastructure law, which set us on a path to finally reinvest and rebuild communities from coast to coast. On top of these historic laws, you advocated for, and the President is soon to finalize, an executive order that will require all federal government-owned, taxpayer-funded construction projects exceeding $35 million to be performed under a project labor agreement. And after being watered down for 40-plus years, federal prevailing wage regulations have been restored back to the original intent, increasing the wages of construction workers both union and non-union, across this nation. And that's just the beginning. Brothers and sisters, last summer's passage of the CHIPS and Science Act will jumpstart a building boom of the semiconductor manufacturing facilities across this country, creating tens of thousands of construction jobs. And these workers will be paid prevailing wages. This law will reinvigorate American manufacturing and strengthen domestic supply chains so that we no longer rely on foreign, often adversarial countries for our high-tech products. We have already seen it in Ohio and central New York, where billions of dollars worth of work has been put under project labor agreements. Then there's the Inflation Reduction Act, with over $300 billion worth of tax credits for projects to combat climate change, drive competition in the energy markets, and create millions of middle-class family-sustaining jobs. And this legislation put Davis-Bacon prevailing wage and registered apprenticeship language, our labor standards, into the tax code on these energy tax credits for the first time in our history. Low-road actors in the renewable industry will finally be held accountable for paying substandard wages and benefits. If companies want a tax credit to help fund their project, they will have to use registered apprentices and pay prevailing wages. This is a huge and unprecedented win for construction workers. Brothers and sisters, over the next 10 years, investment from bipartisan infrastructure law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act will generate nearly $4 trillion, all committed to rebuilding America's infrastructure. These laws will create hundreds of millions of job hours for our members, training and employing the people we work for and represent in states, counties, and cities of all sizes, regardless of their political swing. This is creating demand for what we do best. Each of us in this room understands the value of these wins, but we must do all we can to communicate these wins and our value in the field. I don't know about you, but I'm a man of my word. I do not overpromise what I can't deliver. At one of the bill signings, President Biden put his hands on my shoulders, looked me dead in the eye, and made one ask of us. He asked that these investments, that we use our training infrastructure, our apprenticeship programs, our apprenticeship readiness programs, to reach into every rural and urban community and make sure that men and women who haven't had an opportunity for a middle-class, family-sustaining career, sometimes in generations, are lifted up and taught lifelong skills. I assured the President that he can count on us to do our part like we always do in the building trades. We will get that job done. Between the bipartisan infrastructure law, the private investment in capital construction in this country over the next 10 years, I believe we can do all that and more. That means we will not sit idly by. We will do whatever it takes. As Martin Luther King said, and I quote, "All labor uplifts humanity, has dignity and importance, and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence," unquote. This is our opportunity to uplift brothers and sisters. For my entire professional career, the building trades have been advocating not just for our union workforce, but a workforce development model. It is a model that's rooted in collective bargaining and that can and should be expanded into other industries beyond construction, as it is a proven method of uplifting people safely and securely into the middle class. This, my friends, ensures that they can live and work and retire with dignity. Our model makes sure that workers are not trained for just a project, but equipped with the highest skill sets for a meaningful, lifelong career. Training is at the heart of what we do. Because of you and our signatory contractors' commitment to it, we will ensure that the next generation, the infrastructure generation of skilled trade professionals, are equipped with the highest level of competencies and safety training. Brothers and sisters, we must be laser focused on how we can maximize these investments to serve the local communities as best as possible while meeting the demands of our members as well as our clients and contractors. We must continue to be intentional, committed, and deliberate in our work to recruit and retain women and men, communities of color, indigenous people, veterans, and the justice involved. Because I'll tell you, in order to get this investment right, to truly get it right, it will take all of us. It will take focus, resources, collaborative transparency, and it will take us to continue to lead in our march to expand the opportunity pipeline and make the skilled trades more diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Much work remains to be done, but we have made great strides in recent years, and we are well on our way. I appreciate all the hard work being done on this effort by all of you. Earlier this year, we unveiled the first study of its kind that gives our entire industry a benchmark that we're all going to be held accountable to. It's the same standard on DEI and workforce development programs across the construction industry. Data shows DEI success requires conscious efforts and initiatives that track outcomes, increase access to these jobs, and provide support for workers from historically underrepresented groups. The findings underscore the workforce development pipeline programs and true workforce development tools like PLAs and collective bargaining work. The numbers show that our system is driving real change in both recruitment and retention, and our pipeline is building a diverse trades model. With massive federal investments, we know we need to do more on-ramps for registered apprenticeship. We look forward to organizations like Trade Futures and Helmets to Hard Hats, helping us to advance these on-ramps and meet the moment to provide more meaningful middle-class career pathways in more communities all across America. There are over 200 apprenticeship readiness programs across the country that are on track to graduate 7,000 participants just this year. And there are about to be even more, thanks to a multi-year, multi-million-dollar partnership with the Department of Labor and the National Urban League. Apprenticeship readiness programs have helped us increase access for veterans, communities of color, and the justice involved. These programs have helped double the number of tradeswomen in our ranks over the last decade. From Lean In for unionized tradeswomen to tradeswomen heroes to Be That One Guy, to over half our affiliates providing maternity leave support, to Trades Futures child care pilots, to convening the largest meeting of tradeswomen ever in the world at Tradeswomen Build Nations. We are and will continue to increase the number of women and historically marginalized communities in our industry. Sisters and brothers and allies here today, we must do more to not just recruit but retain and make sure our job sites are safe work environments for everybody. Last month, I participated in a roundtable at the White House where we discussed opportunities in the construction industry and specifically workplace culture. We were pleased to be joined in that room by, among others, the GSA Administrator, Robin Carnahan, whom you will hear from tomorrow. As a follow-up from that meeting, I am pleased to report that NABTU, all of us, will be undertaking a national effort in conjunction with our private sector partners that can be supported by all levels of government to promote a new certification program with the goal of modernizing and transforming construction industry's culture from job site to job site. Everyone in this room knows what a LEED certified building is. Similarly, this certification will ensure safer, more inclusive, and harassment-free work environments that are supportive of all workers in our industry. We must keep increasing investments in health and safety initiatives with CPWR, the Center for Construction Research and Training, and our industry partners to protect all workers' physical and mental health and safety on the job. Another way we are working to protect building trades working families and the future families we will represent is our Capital Strategies program, which invests in companies and industries that respect and ensure that their investments in construction, maintenance, and operations do not leave us out. We now have over $800 billion in pension fund assets and over $1.4 trillion of private and public sector investments currently under responsible contractor policies. Our plan is to reach $3 trillion within the next 5 years. And while we're talking about protecting and enhancing workers' deferred wages and pensions, let me just say, NABTU commends President Biden and Vice President Harris for last month's veto to protect the ESG investment considerations in retirement plans. This decision supports ERISA, the fiduciaries that invest pension assets, the participants and beneficiaries of ERISA plans and the United States financial markets. The drumbeat of public support for unions continues to be at an all-time high. America is seeing that the fastest way to the middle class is through organized, skilled labor. They're also seeing that equity, transparency, and creating pathways, true pathways to the middle class is through the organized sector. Additionally, the latest research shows that unionized construction productivity is 14% higher and our labor costs are 4% lower than the non-union. Owners across this country are starting to catch on to this. Just look at the $80 billion Amtrak agreement, $30 billion in small modular reactor agreements, $20 billion in CCS agreements, as well as the Alaska Willow Project, the over $40 billion in offshore wind, and $250 billion anticipated work in chips plants like Intel and Micron and others. Basically, wherever you find people building in the United States, you're going to find building trades unions. Brothers and sisters, as many of you know, a lot of our work is in the energy sector. Labor standards must be part of all energy projects now and in the future. There is no true just transition without these protections. You know what else needs to happen for energy and high-profile projects to be successful now and in the future? Our government at all levels, all parties across this country must take action on permitting reform. We must support all the above energy strategies to support and grow the middle class by prioritizing not only climate change, but the truly sustainable future that equally values workers. But we cannot achieve these goals without reasonable timing to approve a project. Red tape has too often killed the work hours of our members, and it has too often ended projects before they even broke ground. Also, let me address the misconception that small open shop detractors keep promoting. There is no labor shortage for union construction jobs, quite the opposite. Currently, most markets have more worker interest in union construction jobs than there are jobs and apprenticeships available. Unsafe, low-wage construction may have trouble hiring because nobody wants that job. The building trades union current capacity to meet that demand. We will be there, continue to organize, and ensure that we keep increasing our capacity in the years ahead. We know our model is the only workforce development in the construction industry that can expand and contract based on market needs. And again, this is our opportunity to provide opportunity to the next generation of skilled professionals, the infrastructure generation. Brothers and sisters, this is what we're all about. We are in the business of changing lives. Like Charles Straley. Charles had just gotten out of prison for the second time and was homeless and struggling with alcohol and opioid addiction. When he went to an interview with Building Futures, an apprenticeship readiness program in Columbus, Ohio, I met Charles last month at an event with national, state, and local leaders. The building trades completely changed his life. Today he's sober. He's not only has a career with health insurance and benefits, but he's also a family man. He's engaged with a newborn son. In addition to his construction work, Charles volunteers to help his community and help people access that life-saving opportunity that he found. We have stories like this in every community that we serve. Yet too many young people, industry, lawmakers, and media still don't know or understand the awesome opportunity that we provide. They don't understand that apprenticeship delivers the life-changing opportunity of truly succeeding without having to go to college. With these investments in our training model, coupled with the strong labor standards that we've secured in federal, state, and state laws that elevate apprenticeship, this is our time to make sure that we are building the opportunity pipeline to maximize private investment with public dollars and reach communities large and small. As our next step, we need to emphasize to lawmakers how the reauthorization of the National Apprenticeship Act is critical to all the efforts we wish to accomplish in uplifting America's middle class. This week, they will need to hear from you. Please tell your members of Congress what these wins mean. Tell them about the impact the building trades model has in your community. Tell them about the importance of labor protections for the workforce in your area. Tell them about the young apprentices, journey-level workers, and retirees from your locals whose lives have been changed from these investments. Tell them why workforce development programs like apprenticeship readiness programs matter locally. And tell them about the economic benefits your entire community will have today and tomorrow from these investments. Brothers and sisters, it's on us to tell our story and to make these wins worthwhile. Let's never forget our value proposition. Let's get out there today and say, join us. And while we continue to service our members and clients that have been with us through thick and thin, let's market ourselves like never before to a new generation of contractors and owners who now see not only our value of our words, but of our work. Let's all look back at this time 10, 15, or 20 years from now, be able to say that we not only rebuilt our nation's infrastructure, which will maintain America's competitive edge domestically and globally, but in doing so, we reoriented our entire economy to making things in America again, to investing here in America and in our workers. We must invest in workers in every community so that we can meet today's needs and deliver tomorrow's innovation. We cannot afford anything less if we want a strong and safe economy. I need to say it again. We've realized unprecedented victories that are providing us with unprecedented opportunities. Countless people's lives are being affected, either because they're going into our training programs or because they're working on projects funded by these victories. Each of you helps secure. Brothers and sisters, we are the blue-collar blueprint for the American middle class. We are building to the infrastructure generation. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the building trades, and God bless America.